Hello, welcome to Live Reality Games Podcast. My name is Steven, and I'm back this week to talk about episode 3 of Surviving Bloomington. And here with me this week is guest Troy. Troy, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
So, Troy, you're here today because you've met Casey, the host of Surviving Bloomington, several times. You've played season 3 of the Ohio Mo with him, and I hear you also had the chance to meet some of the Surviving Bloomington cast members.
I have. Yeah, I met Casey this past November playing the Mole, Ohio, excuse me. And the host for that was actually Hannah. So that's how I met Hannah.
Oh, I didn't realize she hosted the most recent season.
Yeah, she apparently was the season 2 winner.
Okay.
So she got the honor to host season 3.
So what's it like? I assume this is your first time watching Hannah play a game then.
It is.
Any thoughts or surprises?
No, because as a host, like she's very dynamic and is great communicator, but you could tell like her strategic chops just from being a host in the way in which she would move and have those conversations. But it's really kind of awesome to action and really, especially in this particular season when she is coming in not having played Survivor Bloomington before and not knowing anyone. She is she's a force.
Are there any other players you've met that are on this season?
In fact, yes, I met Stacy this past summer. I think I can say this for Survivor New York. So that's the only one, though.
Yeah, like Stacy is a connoisseur of reality games, and frequently she goes far. But this was a tough sell for her, with just being on an all-star season and one of the 3 players that wasn't a returning player for that series.
Yeah. It's a very tough spot to be in, right? You have to have like the best social game, or be a really strong physical competitor to just for those first few votes to survive. And Stacy is a good social player. I mean, she knows how to talk and she knows how to make those connections. But I mean, unfortunately, I feel like the people who have not played Survivor Bloomington, the cards were stacked against them from the get-go.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, had she and Hannah switched positions, right? If like just having that second new player on your tribe is enough to would have been enough to work her way in, much like Hannah. And also, like, had this been an immunity challenge where 2 people win and one tribe was a tribal council, she solved that puzzle within seconds, and so like they were this close to an immunity win.
And I think, and we'll get to it come to vote, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with the vote. I don't think that tribe did the right choice, but we can get to that later.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on the season so far then?
I think that from a production value point of view, kudos to them. I know this is their first time video any of it, and like I'm thoroughly impressed. I'll start with that. Like the production value is super high. The challenges look intense. I mean, like I'm watching it from home and going, I don't know how I would survive that. So I'm really appreciating that. And the dynamic, what I find so fascinating is since so many of them have played together, either in Survivor Bloomington or other games, that dynamic is almost not even being talked about. It came up a little bit in this episode, but for the most part, it feels like it's a non-issue, which I think is shocking.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's because we have a good handful of players who have played multiple seasons, so you don't really have us versus them. The fact that players have come back and volunteered, so everyone's kind of met each other before. So there's been so much more interweaving that maybe past like returning seasons has seen.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I would add to that is like, since everyone knows people have played before, I would think that people would want to like adapt their gameplay because people know what they've done and how they've played. But that doesn't seem to be the case either, which I think is also very fascinating.
Yeah, no one's really. We've seen some discussion, like in this episode. I think it was Mia on the Braun tribe was talking how she got an item her last season, had given away, was voted out that tribal council, and she's like, I'm doing things differently this time. So we're kind of seeing a little of that, but it is very interesting, maybe because that 6-person tribe dynamic where you don't really have a lot of room to hide and kind of resculpt yourself, just like just play your cards out and get past this part.
Yeah. I think Adam also mentioned something. Oh, sorry, my phone. I think Adam also mentioned like about his ability to do puzzles. Not knowing like how he played his last season, other than he's a former winner. Like, how do people not know that he's good with puzzles? And he's talking about like, oh, I can't hide it anymore. I'm like, well, that's interesting. I guess puzzles never came up in the last one. I don't know.
Or not until the very end. So it's not, and like, or maybe he had put himself not in the puzzle role in his early challenges.
Yeah.
Um, did you have any favorite players you're rooting for?
I do. I mean, just on a personal note, I have to root for Hannah in that connection. So I think my players that I'm rooting for would be Hannah, Griffin, and Megan.
Which Megan?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask me that one.
With an H or no H? Braun Tribe Megan or which
No,
Brains Tribe Megan?
Brains Tribe Megan.
Okay.
And then maybe I'll put Jordan in there too. I really like Jordan's vibe.
So why don't we get started going through the episode? And the episode starts by taking us back to the three tribes, and we begin with Brains Tribe. And we get a lot of confessionals from James this episode. And James is an interesting position because I think James thinks he is doing well, but we hear from another confessionals like people are still a little unsure of Brains. And my favorite thing is like, it was, I think, maybe this is later on, but I think it's Megan, and it is, let's see, Megan and Alyssa talking. They're like, James always says, like, we'll be together until the merge. He, like, couches everything he says. Like, we're together until a point. And they're a little like, we're not quite sure how we think about that. What do you think of that?
You know, you can look at it from 2 points of view. I think from James's point of view, he's really trying to play that honest game that he said he wants to play, right? So using that verbiage, it's his way of saying, like, I'm being honest, I'm being genuine with you. I want to make sure that you understand, like, where my head's at. But when you're hearing that, like, that sets up red flags immediately. Like, okay, so I'm in your short-term plan, but you don't see me in your long-term plan. Like, I don't know if I want to play with that. Like, I mean, I understand where he's coming from, but I think he needs to do a better job with, like, just getting people to believe him.
Yeah, and it was interesting given I thought that would have, like, maybe set Alyssa and Megan more like, do we really want to work with him if we aren't in his long-term game plan? Because really, when you're on this small trial, I'd be looking to really set up long-term relationships and alliances, not saying, yeah, no, we're good. And then we'll swap and we'll figure out from there. Maybe we'll be friends, maybe not. I'd be a little less comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, you need numbers certainly in these small tribes, but short-term game is always like the kiss of death, in my opinion, right? Like, even if you're intending them to be part of your short-term game, don't say it. Just let them believe, like, we're there till the end. But
now, we see a lot of idol shenanigans in the Brains Tribe. We know that Megan has the idol, and when she found it, I think it was Dallas and Stacy were both kind of there as part of that. So half the tribe knows the idol is, and the other half, being Alyssa, Griffin, and James, have no idea where the idol is. And there's a lot of discussion around this. Dallas finds the twine in the tree, just immediately says, I found this. It must have been gone. And like, I don't know. Dallas finds the idol clue, just shares everything with the target off his back. And like later on, people find the hole. They're like, oh, the idol must have been there, but now it's not. Yeah. What are your thoughts around all that?
The edit is what the edit is. So like, you don't know what the timing is. Like for me, that moment where the idol is handed off to Stacy and Stacy takes off into the woods, I was like, okay, that to me was awesome. It was like a great dramatic moment and forces a bond that you may not necessarily want to have. But I feel like it's a little sloppy. Like, even if you have to get out of there quickly, go back, hide it, cover your tracks. But from a viewer point of view, I'm loving that people know where the idol is and it's causing that paranoia. From like a player point of view, I'm like, this would drive me crazy.
Yeah, for me, it was when people went and they're like, we think we found the hole that the idol was in. The idol's in here. I was like, oh no, like that's the biggest sign. You want people to not know where the idol is and keep searching for it, not be like, pretty sure we know where it was and it's been found, because that really changes things, because we see a lot of people trying to sleuth out who has it. Well, can't be Stacy because she like signaled this to us. It can't be Dallas who showed us the clue. We don't think it's Griffin. And Alyssa and James are like, we know, we're telling each other we don't have it, so Megan must have it. It's like 6 people is enough. You can process eliminate at that point, especially when people are doing these big signaling actions like, here's the clue, I don't want it.
How do you feel about them being so open and honest? Like, I found this string, I found the clue. Like, they're being super honest in this tribe.
Given Dallas knows where the idol is, and I think the last thing Dallas wants is people target him for fear he has an idol, I think being open and honest is the correct way to go. I'd say, yes, I don't have it. Look, here's the thing. You all can search for it, right? Because that people are like, wow, if he had the idol, why would he do that? Because he wouldn't want to draw anything. So like kind of giving up that is a great way to like signal to other players like it's not me, I don't have it, and get any potential suspicion off you. So I do like what he does with that. I think that is the correct move in this case.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if not having been in that position, I don't know that I would do that. I mean, I guess it really depends on who's around.
I mean, because I think Dallas, he finds it kind of public, right? I
Does
don't think
he? Maybe he
I
does.
want to say he doesn't find it very secretive. Like, yeah, if I find it alone, and I'm like, okay, I can pocket, maybe do something funny with it later. But given that he found it like around people and just being like, here it is.
That maybe that's the difference between the Brains tribe finding the idol and the other tribes. Like they were not like was it Mia?
Yeah, Mia finds it in secret.
Right. Yeah. So she's like, I'm keeping this quiet, which I guess, yeah, that makes more sense.
And so let's say you're Megan and two people know about your idol. That's Dallas and Stacy. Are you more open to sharing with other players, or you still just kind of keep it on the download as much as possible?
Ooh, I think it goes back to like what you were just saying, right? Like if you find it in public, make it public, right? There's no benefit to trying to keep it quiet when people know. So I think in this particular case, like just be open and honest. Like, hey, I've got it. Let's use it together if we need to in a swap, which most inevitably is going to happen. Yeah, I mean, but if no one's around and you find it in secret, keep it quiet. That's my vote. That's the way I would play it, at least.
I love the transition between the Brains and Braun tribe, where we see Griffin giving a confessional, and then the Braun tribe is heckling him, throwing stuff in the woods because Griffin's just like, "What's going on?" I was so confused. So like, there's weird cuts of the Braun tribe walking, Griffin getting confessional, and then it all came together. I was like, okay, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Although I was a little worried about like Griffin's safety. Like I didn't know what they were throwing at him.
I hope it was pine cones. I trust not looking to like medevac an opposing player. I mean, it's a strategy, just not one I endorse.
Yeah, I mean that's one way to get one step closer, but yeah.
So episode 2, we didn't really hear much. We didn't really hear anything at all from the Braun tribe following their first tribal council. So we get a little time with the Braun tribe. We get to see them make put golf balls in like an animal skull. I was just like, there's a lot of golf balls floating around this episode. I don't know why.
Yeah, what was that about? I mean, the whole like skull thing. I was like, not fake.
I mean, it was just a little too goofy to maybe be a hidden immunity idol. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't even think that. Like that. I mean, that's a huge hidden immunity idol. If that's what they were trying to do with it.
A la Ghost Island, like, here's the mini necklace. Good luck hiding it.
Yeah, right? Can't exactly shove that down your pants.
So one thing that surprised me is Mia was left out of the vote in that first tribal council where David is voted out. We don't really hear much from her in terms of scrambling or reorienting herself. We hear her talk a bit about her idol. What do you think Mia was maybe doing that we weren't seeing or should be doing in response to that first tribal council she experienced?
She's in a hard place because there is that history that seems to have come up a few times. So, I think I don't know if she's like trying to play the history angle at all. It might be the way to help like just get her one vote further so that she can get to a swap and then reevaluate. But the other thing that she did, and I think she was the right thing to do, was go idol hunting, right? If you have an idol, use it and say, hey, look, I know I'm on the bottom, but I'm not going anywhere. So who wants to work with me? Let's shake things up, right?
So you would reveal, you would go like, hey, everyone, like if your tribe loses again, you say, all right, everyone, here's the deal. I have an idol. I'm playing it.
Yep.
Let's start talking because I'm not an option. Like let's form some new alliance here versus like surprising everyone, but like being the sole person to vote one out and like really kind of being an out to your tribe.
Yeah. There's no need to make a super big flashy move so early. It's only going to hurt your game long term. But use it and say, hey, when we lose, I wouldn't say it before like they lost a challenge, but like at that point, it's like I'm not an option. Who wants to work with me? Because now. If you're not working with me, you're now a potential target.
Yeah. And we hear Meredith in her confessional say like she does want to target Mia next. And we already hear Adam kind of speculate like, I think Mia has an idol. Not quite sure. Likely.
Yeah. Meredith's one that I'm having a hard time tracking. I don't know why, but she seems like really sort of on the outside too. So hearing Mia say like she was on the outs and on the bottom or getting that sense, I'm like, I thought it was more Meredith. Meredith's the one with the red and white stripes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because that first vote was kind of was like I personally thought Meredith was going home that first tribal council, but whatever she did, it worked, and therefore David went home instead. And maybe Mia is the easy target right now. I don't know. I we'll talk later. I don't think we're going to see the Braun tribe ever vote together in this configuration in the future, but we'll see.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
And then we get some time at the Beauty Tribe. And the Beauty Tribe is the only tribe at the start of this episode where no one has found the immunity idol. And that quickly is changed with Jordan finding the idol in front of Brianna.
That, I think, if I was Jordan, that probably was like the worst case scenario, like the last person she wants to be around when she finds it.
But Brianna seems okay because Brianna, I think it's later Brianna talks about who she feels good, but I think Brianna's like not looking to share the information. It's like, yeah, just you and me, our knowledge and whatnot.
Yeah, I think from Brianna's point of view, it was like the best possible thing to happen, right? I think it's very clear within that tribe, like what the pecking order is and who's controlling the votes. So from Brianna's point of view, I think it's like, I'd be like, absolutely best case scenario. I don't have it, so I don't have the target. I know who has it. They know I have, they know that I know, like, let's work with this. I think from Jordan's point of view, complete opposite though. You know,
yeah, because like I'm wondering, like, should have Brianna had been weaponizing the information somehow? We don't see her do anything with it. Like, given that Jordan doesn't tell anyone outside Brianna knowing, should Brianna have been more willing to go out to players, say, hey, you think you're working with Jordan? I know she has this. I saw her get it. Has she shared this with you? If not, I think you should be worried because this means like you're not as close to her as you think.
I think that's the right move to make. But at least the sense I get from watching it is that Brianna may not have the pulse on the game in the way that she needs to, right? She does definitely is coming across like is floating by like, okay, wherever the wind's going to blow, I'm going to go that way. I'm not getting a sense of like really being a strategic mind or really like having like, I don't know, even self-awareness of like what's going on. So like, I don't know that would have ever crossed her mind. I mean, again, I don't know her, but that's just the sense I'm getting.
And I think one of the challenges of Brianna is of returning players, she's had the least experience coming into it, right? Because she played season 4, was the first one voted out. So this is the first time she is going back to tribal council after being blindsided.
Yeah, I mean, it might be from lack of experience. I don't know.
Yeah.
But even still, I mean, maybe Jordan is much more of a social strategic mastermind than we're seeing right at this moment to get Brianna to feel like she's completely safe and like that they're together now. I mean,
which they do a good enough job. And I think the two other things I noticed, like Jordan discusses how she's not going to tell her tribe, but the person she's going to share and wants to work with is Megan from the Brains tribe.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
Really?
Yeah. Because I mean, again, I don't know a lot of these players, so I'm like, what is it about that connection? And going back to what we were saying earlier is like, because these people have played together, we're not hearing a lot about like past relationships, but this one is one that we hear about. So in my mind, like, okay, I need to track this. This is something that's really strong. And if that's the case, are others aware of it? And how is that going to impact, the game going forward? So for me, I was like, yes, this is great. I love it.
Yeah. I think it's one thing to start in a tribe with the person you have a close relationship to and really kind of run with that. It's another thing to meet someone later on and say, all right, one of us is going to be giving up what we've had and going to other. Think of like Parvati and Amanda in the Heroes versus Villains merge, where they both kind of came in opposite tribes. They each had kind of their own lines. They kind of realized like, this isn't going to work, is it? Yeah. I'm wondering if we're going to see that happen, or like we see one of them make a sacrifice their game for another, or how that will work. It's just hard once the game really gets going and you have significant history of players in the game.
Yeah, it could go many different ways. But Megan also has an idol as well, right?
Yes.
So that's now 2 idols between 2 people.
A lot of power.
That is a lot of power.
And my final favorite thing was that they failed to hide where the idol was, so people find the hole where the idol is again, and be like, "Oh, the idol must be out there somewhere." Someone has the idol at this point. You're like, "Oh no."
Do you get the sense like these holes were like big holes? Like from what I see in the camera, it looks like it's like that big. Like
I guess it's just an impressionable enough divot that you're like, wow, that's not natural.
Yeah. I mean, and it's by the water well, so like everyone's going there, everyone's seeing it. It's like take a moment and think, like, I don't know, throw some brush over it or something, or spill the water.
Now, the question I still want to have answered is: did Connor find that idle clue that everyone in Beauty suspects he found? Like, because they're like, "Oh, it's the twine. It must be because of Connor." I was waiting for some confession where someone revealed, like, "No, I had it all along," but maybe it's just Connor. We just never heard about it.
I don't think he did. I don't
Yeah,
think
we
he
never heard
did.
from him.
Yeah, I mean, even just like his body language, like in
Mhm.
the later part of those first two episodes, like I just did not get the sense like he had anything that he needed to worry about.
Mhm.
Because he's another one, like watching it, I was like, I didn't get the sense like he's able to fully deceive, like keep
Yeah.
calm. Like he's very calm and cool and collected and all that.
Mhm.
But I think when he's pressed, like that's when you start to see like his body language change. So like
Mhm.
I honestly don't think he found it or had anything.
Yeah. Well, from there we get to our challenge. The challenge, it's a blindfold challenge where you send players out, they bring back balls, go with your tribe, make some baskets, come back and get a choice between two puzzles, easier 25-piece puzzle or a harder 4-piece puzzle.
Yeah.
And only one tribe can win this. So 2 tribes are going to the tribal council. I love choices and challenges. That is my favorite thing when players, you do this or that. What do you want to do? I always love seeing that and just seeing the repercussions of those choices.
Yeah. I almost like, and I know that 2 of the tribes, they switched me halfway through. I love having that choice, but I think like once you make that choice, you have to stay with it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the Amazing Race where like you can change detours.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least Amazing Race, you can change detours, but there's a significant time cost to it, and there's a lot of unknown. It's like, what is the other one like? This one seemed very low cost. Like, oh, this one looks hard. Dump out the other bag.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean,
so,
it was pretty awesome though. I mean, the way Braun, excuse me, just was like, they went for that 25 and they were doing great. And they're like, wait, shoot. And switched in like that. I was like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, because I think Adam was in the puzzle, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Yeah, I was a little sad to see players could have it was such a costless switch, where it was like, which one seems better. So I think you'd always want to start with the 4-piece puzzle, look at it, say, can we figure out, and then move the 25-piece puzzle, right?
Yeah.
But because I think we see who gets back first? Beauty starts the 4-piece puzzle, switches to the longer puzzle. Braun gets back, starts with the longer puzzle, switches to the shorter puzzle, solves immediately. And then poor Brains has been trailing this entire time, get back, and you can tell Stacy solves the 4-piece puzzle immediately. But
Yeah.
it's too late.
I mean, I love the double tribal, but I did feel bad that it was so close.
Yeah.
So close.
Yeah, because think of the world where players couldn't switch their puzzle, right? Braun's sticking with the 25-piece puzzle, right? So which they're making progress, but slower. Beauty picks the harder puzzle, which maybe they would have solved it, but they seem to be really struggling. And then Brains gets back, and they're the Brains tribe for a reason. They solve that 4-piece puzzle immediately, right? And then Brains is fully intact, and the other 2 tribes are losing a second member each.
I think it would have had a big impact on the way the game goes moving forward, right? Having a tribe intact, even a tribe that is not fully together, is much better than having a lower numbers come a swap or a merge.
To be fair, I think on a 3-tribe season, there is real benefits to going to tribal councils, and that is not being a tribe that becomes a target, right? Think of a swap where you have like this weird situation where each tribe has like one tribe has 4 former Brains and Beauty and 3. Sorry, I'll go colors. Red and blue tribe with 3 yellow Brains tribes, and they're just like, we're just gonna throw challenges and knock out the Brains tribes. So they don't have a majority and protect our allies on the other side.
Yeah.
You get this really us versus them mentality, but now every tribe's lost a member. Every tribe's had some blood drawn, and I think as a result of that, it's like this, like a swap is not going to be a very clear us 2 versus them. Like everyone getting the Brains tribe because no one's been voted out yet.
I see the advantages of that, but from a player point of view, like, would you be willing to risk your place in the tribe just for this idea? Like this tribe is not
but that's why I'm not heartbroken if I do attend a tribal council.
Okay.
Like I don't think I'd ever throw, but I also think I think there is some lingering benefit as a result. I'm thinking heroes versus hustlers, the merge happens, the healers are almost fully intact, and everyone just like, yep, we're targeting you now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you just, to the extent you can avoid that kind of situation in a 3 tribe format, I think it's best. Though season 41, I can't remember the blue tribe is, rolls in full strength. Everyone just like says, "Yep, we're gonna let you win now." And you're like, hmm.
Like what? I mean, so I think the caveat I'd put with that is like if the tribe is not cohesive, if
Yeah.
there's very clear groupings, I don't know if I'd agree with that
Hmm.
thought really, because once I get to a merge or a swap, like jump ship as you need to, and
Yeah.
you have the mutiny advantage too. So I think that
Mm.
also would also impact that.
Yeah. The mutiny advantage is gonna make what is the mutiny advantage. I don't. I don't remember if it was read to us. I can't remember if it's like you just jump ship or you have to force someone to swap back with you so all tribes stay even. Because you could have theoretically like,
Yeah, I don't
let's say
think.
if we swap at 14 to 2 tribes of 7, do we end up with a lopsided 9 and 5 at work, like something like that? If 2 people jump from one to another.
I think that. Well, first off, yes or no, they didn't read it, so I don't know one
Okay.
way or the other. But the sense I get was that like if I have the mutiny advantage, I can jump ship, and then also now the tribes are going to be what they are.
Yeah.
Although it would be interesting if I jump ship and I say, you know what, Steven, you're taking my place. I mean, because then now it has a whole lot
Yeah.
more power.
Because yeah, no, we'll have to see how that goes down. Um, is there anything else with the challenge you want to talk about?
I didn't understand the ladder on the ground.
I think it looked like you just had to lead them through that pathway. Like this is your pathway to take.
Okay.
I don't think there was much more beyond that.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, I guess it was just like directional. I was like, I don't know. I mean, it
It'd been
didn't
much harder if like if
blindfold
anyone
the
touches the
meeting.
ladder wrong, you have to start over while blindfold. That'd have been ridiculous.
That would have been ridiculous. Because I noticed, I forget which tribe it was, but they were like walking. I think it was the yellow tribe. They were walking slightly outside of the
Hmm.
ladder. I'm like, is that allowed?
At the very on the
It's
way
not.
back, the guy just says, "Just run, everyone." He ditches whoever he's holding hand. Everyone's just like, "All right." They just start
Yeah.
running after him.
So for me, like the whole blindfold, that portion of it, I was like,
Mhm.
what value did that have?
It, it's hard to have a sense of time in these challenges, like
Yeah.
because it's edited. So I guess normally I'm used to watching blindfold challenges with a lot more people walking into each other and kind of comical music. But the people seem to really blitz through the collecting and getting back.
Yeah.
And I was glad to see there are people like on the sidelines, people from walking into people's cars. That was good too.
That was nice. Yeah. I mean, safety first. Safety first.
So I think of the 2 tribes, I'd like to talk about the beauty tribe first because I think this is the more straightforward of the two.
Okay.
Um, and so we get back to camp, and Brianna says she's nervous that Hannah might know she voted for her last round, but she feels safe with the reliance of Devontae and Boogie. What do you think of that from Brianna? You've already voiced a little bit your thoughts here.
Yeah. I mean, I think she has to know that people are thinking that she did.
Hmm.
She's not, again, like I'm not getting the sense like she's playing hard. Not that you need to be playing hard this early in the game, but I just not getting the sense like she's playing. She's just
Or, Devontae and Boogie and Jordan are doing a really, really good job at letting her be comfortable.
true. But I mean, you have to have a ton of trust
Hmm.
in these people. Like, if you're making me feel comfortable, you can only make someone comfortable if they trust you,
Hmm.
right? And I don't know, like, how much trust can you have?
And maybe the answer is Brianna need to go to Devontae and Boogie, who she clearly trusts, as, hey, like, I don't really feel like I have anyone besides the two of you. You two are the people I want to ride or die with. I know you all want to work with Jordan, but did you know Jordan has a immunity idol? I saw it. She's sworn with the secrecy, but has she told you that? No. Like, I think you should look at who are Jordan's allies, and I think you should try to take out Hannah because Hannah is clearly more Jordan's ally than your ally. I will be your ally, not Jordan's ally.
I think that is the right play. But again, I don't think she's seeing that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like just the self-awareness of like where people's alliances
Mm-hmm.
are, and how they're playing. Like I don't like I adore Hannah, but at least from the edit, like it doesn't seem like she's being super stealth about it. Right? Like you see where she's standing with people and who she's talking to. Like if I'm
Mm-hmm.
Brianna, I would be looking at like how people are grouping together and what kinds of
Mm-hmm.
conversations, who's walking off with who,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um, that tells you volumes. And if you are going to try to like make that play that you suggest,
Mm-hmm.
like you have to see it.
Yeah, and the Devontae confessional we get right after where he pretty much says like, "Yeah, I think I was planning on sticking to the 4 and voting on Verano." Like, ooh, this is going to be a little cut and dry, isn't it? Unless something changes.
Yeah, yeah. He gives great confessionals. I have to say, I love
Mhm.
watching his confessionals. Lots of energy, lots of fun.
We also get a final confessional from Hannah where she talks about it's not simply this vote she's working on; it's the next vote.
Ah, this is like I love this confessional so much because we see so much about like how people are thinking in confessionals, obviously, but we very rarely hear about like how they're lining themselves up, and going back to like what I was saying earlier about Hannah is like you see that strategic mind working, and
Hmm.
she's charting that course and she is working hard. And again, coming in as someone who has not played with these people, has not played this game, she's understanding the assignment and she's like, okay, this is what I need to do. Here's how I'm going to do it, and here are the
Hmm.
two, three options I have that I'm thinking about. Like her brain, it's impressive right now.
I'd like to say like her time in the survival challenge has helped her with this because survival challenge is a very time compressed game where you don't have a lot of time to strategize. You have to maximize the time you have to really look into not only this next vote but down the line as well. And so I really do approve. I really do like how she's using this time to say, "I'm really going to Jordan." Jordan has thrown out Boogie's name as the potential next vote, and Hannah's like, "Yep, I will vote with you. We'll block vote, and I think we'll be able to pull Devontae out of fear of a rock draw."
It makes complete sense to me. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't want to play with Hannah because I'll probably like be a fangirl and be like, whatever you say, Hannah, I'm gonna do, and she'll cut you very quickly. But like just seeing that line that she's creating, like
Hmm.
it makes complete sense to me.
Now, Hannah was also debating like, do I actually play my shot in the dark now, or do I wait? Because like, there's that 10% chance that like something goes wrong when if Brianna plays her shot in the dark. Would you have played your shot in the dark in Hannah's situation?
Not this round. No, I
Hmm.
don't think so. I mean, the sense I get is that Hannah is not in the best possible place in the tribe, but she's not in the worst possible
Yeah.
either. So I would feel like I don't think I would play my shot in the dark this round. No.
Hmm.
Would you?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. Not. I would be looking for when it is more grim and like it's clearly evident that I'm going home. To really say,
Yeah.
yeah, YOLO.
I was surprised that Brianna didn't play hers, but again, I think to your
I,
earlier point, she was feeling super comfortable.
Yeah, I think she's like, like I found the idol with Jordan found the idol with me, so Jordan feels that tie with me, and I feel comfortable with Devontae and Boogie. And I think like she's had all of them are telling her like, yes, we'll vote out Hannah, and she goes in thinking like, I'm back in the numbers, we're taking out Hannah, and that's not the case.
Yeah. But you know what? I have to say, watching it, I was like, when Brianna was saying all this, I'm like, she's going. Like,
Hmm.
if I'm Jordan, even with Redemption Island in play, cut her, right? I'm not close to you. You know I have an idol. I need to keep it secret.
Hmm.
Cut her. Like, sorry, it's
It is a bit of a perverse incentive. Like if one person knows your secret, like that, especially the secret's an idol, you're not planning on sharing with anyone else. It is a bit of more of a challenge.
yeah, yeah. I'm wondering because she's like, how burnt is she going to feel now that she's at redemption? Like, what is going to happen for her, and what knowledge is she going to share?
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that later. I think that's something
Yeah,
I don't know. We haven't heard any players talk about, but I think it needs to be addressed. So, not much to say about the tribal council. Brianna comes home on a 4-1 vote. We see Jordan checks the box for the mutiny advantages, but that's long gone. Devontae has it.
yeah.
So from there, we get to the much more, I think,
Whew.
in-depth tribal council, which is with the Brain tribe. Now, we start off with Dallas telling us that there are two names floating around: James and Stacy. We don't really get a lot of justification of why those are the names at all this episode. And like maybe because James, people are feeling a little like he's I don't know. We have some people kind of express concern about James, and Stacy is a bit more of an obvious outsider in that regards due to not having played like surviving Bloomington before. Um, what are your thoughts on this tribe's dynamics? That
Yeah, I mean, I was a little confused when we learned that like James and Stacy's names are being tossed around.
Mhm.
Again, I understood Stacy because she's sort of newer to that group. But then started going back and watching like James's interactions and the way he's behaving. Like I totally empathize with him and the way he's playing the game.
Mhm.
But I was like, oh, I guess he's really sketching a lot of people out.
Mhm.
And when you're in such a small tribe, you need to have trust, right?
Mhm.
And then we hear that little tidbit between was it James and Alyssa,
Yeah.
who had played before, and I guess he burned her in a previous game. I was like, oh, okay. Now I'm starting to see like his character come through, or his game character, let's call it. Make a judgment on who he is as a person. I was like, yeah, okay, I can understand. Like that's really concerning. These are two people that we don't know or we don't trust, and where the rest of us have at least some allegiance. But like it seems awfully messy within that tribe. Like I love it from a viewer point of view because I'm like, what the heck is going on? But like I'm trying to like figure out how where people's allegiances are, and like granted it's early in the season, so like things are constantly in flux, but I'm like the Griffin talking to Stacy, giving Stacy the heads up, Stacy going to Dallas telling her to play the shot in the dark. I'm like, wait, I thought Griffin was working with Alyssa and Megan, but Megan and Alyssa are working together. James is working with Alyssa. I'm like, you need a mind map.
Yeah, no, it's there's just. So I think you can say Alyssa and Megan are a duo, right? And James is kind of in a trio with them in a sense, but it's hard to say where Dallas and Griffin are, except that Griffin was working with Stacy, therefore that's why I gave her the shot in the dark as a kind of a Hail Mary. I don't think you really have a lot of hard alliances here, but you have some interesting layers where Stacy's pitching James pitching Stacy, but then James also then pitches to Stacy Dallas, right? Stacy then tells Dallas is like, I don't like him. I don't like being the decoy vote, right? That's never a great feeling to hear someone's doing that. And I was wondering if we're going to see like, him saying, well, if James is pitching me, why don't I actually vote out James this time? But that doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen. If we can go back, like, where did we see like Griffin was not working with like Alyssa and Megan? Like in my mind, they were a threesome.
I don't recall. I apologize.
No, I thought maybe I missed it because that was my assumption going in. Like I was like, oh, Griffin's playing really smart. He's playing between different groups, right? He has this information. He feels close with Stacy. He's going to give it to Stacy, but he's still going to do a CYA and like play it like really well. And then I was like, oh, wait, are they not together? Like I was confused by that relationship altogether. But to go back to your question, like Dallas most certainly should go after James, without a doubt. And I think he can probably get that vote. I don't get the sense that Megan and even Alyssa are like feeling super good about him. Excuse me. And Griffin, if Griffin truly is like either in the middle of all this or on the outs, go where the vote is going.
Yeah, no, that's where I was like, I wish I heard more substantial, like, why are we targeting Stacy? Is it simply like we're looking at the five of us, we have past experience when I work together, and Stacy is an outsider, or like I don't know. It's hard to get a sense there. Like I think people have kind of talked a little bit about how Dallas can be a threat later down the road, and given I think because what places was he? Dallas was the 8th and 9th, so kind of like. As the merge is turning, you start looking at those big figures. Maybe that's why he was gone after then. I don't know. My favorite scene, though, is between James and Megan, because James listened to this whole conversation, like, who has the idol? And James is saying to Megan's like, do you have the idol? Because it isn't me. It isn't Alyssa. I don't think it's Stacey. I don't think it's Dallas. I also don't think it's Griffin. And Megan's like, I won't tell you about like anything except you don't need to be worried about it. It's just like, I don't know if that's an answer I'd want to give.
No. I mean, that's a red flag answer. Right? I'm trying to be honest with you, but I'm not going to give you any information. Like that says a lot. That would really make me start to scramble and go the other way. I mean, if you want to keep me safe, or if you want to keep me like calm and collected, whatnot, feed me a lie, but don't couch with like politeness.
Well, I don't think it's even the couching. I think that even the fact is just like you don't need to be worried about it would be a red flag. Oh, she has it.
Yeah.
Because when I played Reelfoot, I found the hidden media idol, and so the two tribal councils I went to my initial with my initial tribe. Like, there's a lot of discussion of what if they have the idol, what should we do? In my head, I'm like, well, all of this is stupid because I have the idol, so it doesn't matter. Like, because there's no weapons other side can use against us in this vote, but I have to play along and say, yeah, here's the strategy to use to diffuse this advantage that's in my pocket. And like, I'm not using it against my own alliance.
But when you had that, did you say you don't have to worry?
No, not at all. I was
No.
like, oh yeah, we need to worry. Let's roll through things. It was so tempting to say, this is stupid. Let's make it simple. All votes him. It's gonna work out because I have the idol in my pocket. Like I so badly wanted to say that, but I didn't because like I don't want people to know about my idol.
Exactly. And so that's why like that word choice, like for me, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I don't I don't know if it's just this cast seems very nice and polite. Let me
Mm-hmm.
put it that way. Like so they're all are trying to play a very honest game, which I love, don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
because of that, like the word choice that they have
Mm-hmm.
makes it very, very sus.
And also with the fact that Megan's Idol, like two players already know about it, like that's what I think. Like at that point, it's like if you're looking to work with someone, like say, hey James, I want to work with you. I want to share this. I have the idol. We don't need to do something crazy because we're going to have the power to take out Stacy unless she achieves the shot in the dark.
Yeah, but I think that what that says then is that she's not trusting him yet. And we
Yeah.
had that conversation right between Megan and Alyssa.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to trust him. I want to take him at face value,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I think what's going to help Megan is the fact she doesn't vote Dallas because if she had been one of the votes on Dallas and Dallas like, oh, I have information to weaponize against you, things could work out poorly. But we'll get to that later. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else about the pre-tribe scramble I want to bring up. Is there anything else you were thinking about?
Uh no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, I think that covers like the big points.
Yeah, I mean, we get the tribal council, and Stacy just looks unhappy, for very good reasons. And she's like,
Yeah.
"I'm the only person who brought my stuff here today, so I
Yeah.
know I am likely going home."
Yeah, I felt bad. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for me at that moment, I was like, okay, we're gonna have another clear cut vote. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
Stacy. She knows it. She's
Mm-hmm.
got some tricks up her sleeve, like we saw in the scramble with Dallas. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
your heart has to go out when you know you're being voted out. It
Mm-hmm.
sucks.
And I honestly don't know what else she could have done.
No, I
Like,
mean, she honestly did more than I thought she was going to be able to do.
mm-hmm.
The whole idea that Griffin gave her his shot in the dark, I
Mm-hmm.
was super excited about. I was like, yes, that's super great.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish it panned out for her,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, wow. And that's a ballsy move.
Mm-hmm.
That is a ballsy
Yeah.
move.
Well, let's talk about it. So, like, we see Stacy play her shot in the dark. We get the no safety, and then the second one was like a real great moment. You're like, oh man, I did not think that we'd be seeing someone play multiple shots in the dark this early. But frankly, I think this is probably the best time. This is a great time for someone to like try to like give an ally safety and win that loyalty later on. I love the fact that Griffin did this.
Yeah, I loved it too. I mean, I not knowing all the dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
going back to like what we were talking about before, is like I didn't think Griffin was that aligned with Stacy. I thought he
Mm-hmm.
was aligned more with Alyssa and Megan.
Mm-hmm.
So that moment, like if he, depending on where his alliances are, I think it was a brilliant move because
Mm-hmm.
you're saving your ally, one of your allies,
Mm-hmm.
but you're voting for that person because you know that's where the votes are going. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're covering your ass, you're helping out an ally. And, like it's multi-layer, and I was like, it's really, really smart.
I wonder why. I wonder if anyone has put together the fact that like if I can just get 6 of these, it's an immunity idol.
I think
Like if you get 6 somehow, right? I don't know what it would take to be able to collect and bribe or get 6 off these. Like that's why I've been shocked that we haven't seen anyone like Brianna's coming home and say, Brianna, I really want to work with you, but I need to know I can trust you. Can I hold on to your shot in the dark to ensure you vote with me? Like do something like kind of nefarious like that to extract these advantages out of people going home, and that way, like once you get 6, you're like, hey, I'm safe whenever I want, up to the final 7, perhaps, or I don't know when.
I'm sure they have to have thought about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to get your entire tribes like shot in the dark,
You don't need to get your entire tribes, right? If you get one or two from people who are getting voted out, and then later on when there is an issue, you can go to your alliance allies like,
oh, I
hey,
see what you're saying. Yeah,
like we're being targeted. I think it's coming after me. Can I have your shot in the dark? I think then like that's when you can do it. But I would like be looking to like you're voting at your tribe, try to harvest these resources from these players before they go.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they must have thought it, but why would it be 6? Like even like in a merge situation, wouldn't
Why do you need 6 of those? Well,
wouldn't
I
the number
guess
go
like
up?
typically like there's a 1 in 6 shot. It works, right?
Is it? I thought it was the number of parchments was the equal to the number of players. still in the
I
game?
don't think so. I think so. So at least for CBS Survivor, pre-merge is always 6 parchments.
Okay.
And so even as your tribe dwindles, it's always a 1 and 6. At merge, it's technically still 1 and 6, but it's a 2 and 12.
Okay.
Right. So like, yes, if you have 6, it's not perfect in the merge. I mean, I don't know. That's why I don't know how they're doing the merge here.
Yeah.
Like if they'll double it in that, but still, if you get 6 of those, like that is a strong
It's a
threat.
50-50. Yeah.
Yeah. It is a 50-50 at worst.
Yeah. I mean, they have to have thought about it, but that's a hard ask. I mean, it's almost equivalent
It's
to
hard and
points.
it's dangerous because if people realize you've been getting these off of players voted out, that's why like I would try to maybe just get one. I wouldn't be like rolling off it, but or like if I had a good ally, say, all right, I'm gonna pick it off of this person, you're gonna pick it off of that person, we're gonna spread it out because I don't want to be that person who like has 5 at the end of it's like, this is an issue. That's social game.
Yeah. I mean, if you have someone you can trust and really play that, it would be great. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the vote ends up being really interesting here, right? Because it ends up being a 3-2, 3 votes Stacy, 2 votes Dallas, with Griffin, Dallas, and Megan voting Stacy, and James and Alyssa voting Dallas. Dallas does not look happy, understandably, but like I was stunned the vote was this close that there would be two votes being put on Dallas, and we didn't even see a single vote on James.
Yeah. I was actually surprised that Dallas's name came up. Right. I felt like the story that Stacy was being told for Dallas was just a story. Like that's not where his name was not actually even considered. So to see that, I was like, oh, well, that's very.
We saw some inklings that they're again concerned over the shot in the dark, or what happens if Stacy has a shot in the dark, right? So what happens if Stacy plays a shot in the dark? There's a rogue vote cast for James somewhere, right? So I can understand getting 1 vote on Dallas to have that revote.
Yeah.
But 2, that was surprising.
So let me ask, like, because the vote was so close, had Stacy not played her shot in the dark,
I think she goes on the revote.
What's that?
I think she goes on the revote.
You think she would go on the revote?
Yeah.
Against Dallas?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I think Dallas is simply the decoy. I don't think James, Alyssa, and Megan are looking to get out Stacey, but maybe if they give them the opportunity, they do take out Dallas. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, again, they are aware of his threat level. It might need him now, but like if you have an easy shot, do you take it? I mean, because he's going to redemption. You see, we assume at least one person's coming back from redemption, but there's going to be probably 5, maybe 6 in that redemption fighting for that one spot.
Maybe max 8.
Okay, maybe max 8. So that's 1 in 8. How strong of a competitor is Dallas? Like they know him better than I do, obviously. Would it be possible for him to get back into the game? Like get him out now and not have to worry about him later?
I guess the problem is you just don't know where Dallas sits in these other alliances. Like what's his relationship with all these other people?
All the more reason to possibly cut him when you can.
And so it's interesting. I wonder if Griffin knew what the split vote was going to look like, or if he and Dallas both thought it was going to be a 5-1 or a 5-0. Because if had Griffin known he could keep Stacy by just flipping his vote, maybe he would have flipped his vote and voted at Dallas instead and kept Stacy.
That would have been a wild tribal if that was
that would have been wild. That's why splitting the vote is so dangerous but so interesting, because they could have created the very strange scenario where Stacy shots in the dark, but is safe anyways. And like this would have been the first time we'd ever seen someone like this. It was the first time we'd ever seen someone play the shot in the dark and not get voted out that tribal. In fact, this is the first time we're ever going to see a player not have a shot in the dark and still be in the game. Griffin will be the first I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Which creates an interesting scenario is, will Griffin be a target down the road if people know he doesn't have a shot in the dark because he's defenseless in that regard? Like say, hey, we can pile votes on Griffin because he can't shot his way out, but the fact that the shots are transferable, I guess maybe doesn't make it as clean.
Is it possible that Stacy got it from someone else?
So she didn't play her own and played like Dallas and Griffin's?
No. So she played her own, but that second one came from someone else than Griffin. Like
I think in her confession she says it's from Griffin.
No, we know it is, but from the tribe point of view, like
they don't know. I mean, the problem is like they have that bullet casing, right? So worst comes worst, ever can like, here's mine, like show proof of it, and Griffin's like, oh, whoops.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a way to verify, unfortunately.
Well, there definitely is a way to verify. I'm wondering, like, short of like people like saying, "Okay, we're emptying everyone's bag. We want to see who has their shot, who has an
Hmm.
idol," right? Like a very Boston Rob moment. I'm wondering, like, if Griffin can play it off like, "No, I still have mine. It must have been Dallas. It must have been James. It must have been, she found it or something. I don't know."
Or maybe you just lie and say, Stacy told me that she found an advantage to find a hidden shot in the dark, and there are more hidden in the game.
Yeah,
You just lie and say, yeah, they're like, and actually that'd be cool. Like, give them the shot in the dark twist if you had a very limited amount of extra ones scattered around.
I think that's a very feasible and
Hmm.
believable lie,
Hmm.
given what they already know about the season,
Hmm.
right? That the Shot in the Dark is playing different than it does on CBS. That you can gather enough to get an idol, that you can, you know, will it away. Like
Hmm.
it's enough to make you think maybe there is. And knowing that the idols are already like harder to find, maybe
Hmm.
that Shot in the Dark is easier because the idols are harder.
Hmm.
It's an
Yeah,
interesting point.
this was a fascinating trial comes just with how things broke down. First time we saw multiple shots in the dark played. We saw someone else give theirs, and like I love the fact that Griffin voted for Stacy, but still
Hmm.
gave her the shot in the dark. So gave her that option, probably because he thought it was gonna be a 4-1-5-0, and there was no, he didn't have the agency to change things at that point. I
Yeah.
love what he did and tried to make the best use of his advantage because I don't know what percentage of shots in the dark expire in Survivor, but like 90%.
Yeah. I don't think have we ever seen it work.
We haven't seen it work. I think we've seen like what, half a dozen players try to use it at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen it work. Certainly not in any LRG that I've seen,
Hmm.
and definitely not CBS. But like, yeah. But that's, I mean, again, I think Griffin, like that play was spot on, right?
Hmm.
You don't have the agency. You don't want to blow your hand like that. You gave your shot in the dark, or that you're aligned with this person going out.
Hmm.
Like it gives you an opportunity to continue to live and build better bridges with the rest of your tribe.
Hmm. Um, is there anything else about this episode you want to bring up?
Uh, yeah, actually. So at that tribal, I
Hmm.
couldn't help but like fixate on Megan's body language. Like I don't know if you
Interesting.
noticed, she was like hunched over for
Hmm.
like the first half of it. Her head was down. I was like, what's going through her mind right now? Like, why is she like everything was curled up? And I'm looking at, I'm like, I don't understand. Like it from what I saw in the scramble to this, like that didn't just compute for me.
Hmm.
Um, where everyone else is like up and like just present. She was down. I was like,
Hmm.
and I mean, again, I don't know these players very well at all. But it was definitely something that my eye was like, there's got to be more to that. Maybe there's not. I don't know.
I even pay attention to their body language. That's a great catch. One of the things Casey asked that tribe at tribal council, like who here feels like they're in danger, and like 2.5 hands get raised. Do you have a philosophy of when the host asks this question, what do you do?
Shoot my hand up. Like
Always, yes. I always feel
always,
dangerous if
yes.
I know I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, you should always feel in danger, right?
Hmm.
Even if your alliance is tight and you feel good, you have an idol, whatnot. You should always feel in danger. Like
Hmm.
we all know, the moment you feel safe in this game, that is like the kiss of death for you. Like
Hmm.
you should, your hand should shoot up faster than anyone else's.
Hmm.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I thought, because that's what I de facto as well. I know sometimes it feels disingenuous, like you're in the dominant alliance and you know what's happening. You're like, yeah, no, I feel so safe because I guess you'd say, like, hey, it's Survivor, things happen.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're in the dominant alliance,
Hmm.
you never know what's going to happen. We have a shot in the dark. We've got the idol nullifier. Like you just don't know,
Hmm.
right?
Oh, and Megan also got the mutiny advantage too this episode. I totally forgot to mention that. I
Yeah.
think she's the second to vote, and immediately, like, first thing does treasure chest, boom, mine.
And, watching everyone like pick up everything, I was loving it. Like the first voting, I was like seeing all the stuff that Casey had laid out. It's
Hmm.
like, there's got to be something there. I hope people are going. And I think maybe it was Hannah was the first one. Like she was checking everything.
Yeah, she just
But
didn't open the box.
I was like, no.
So what I was thinking is, I would love to see a lock, like, so you find like the idol or some advantage is locked, but the pattern is like created by the tribal council booth, like with all the objects there. The objects are the ordering that opens a lock somewhere. That's what I was thinking. Like, oh man, that could be a really cool pattern lock, and the pattern is what you see at the voting booth.
That's wild. Yeah, that would be great. So like a pictograph lock.
Yeah, pictograph off, or like you have to solve it by putting things in order, and the objects are in order when you go to the vote in the voting booth or something like that.
Yeah,
Or maybe just in the tribal council and the setup itself. I don't know.
I like that. I mean, I really like the idea of like something that you're seeing at tribal council
Hmm.
comes into play later. Like even if
Hmm.
it's a pictograph lock, or there's a clock there that
Hmm.
you need to remember what the time is, because
Hmm.
that's going to give you the code for another lock or something. Like,
Yeah.
just how
Oh,
observant are
I
you?
love. I mean, I love escape rooms. I love chains of puzzles where things lead to another, and I miss kind of old school Survivor idols where like it was like a treasure hunt. You like boom, boom, like multi-step to get to where you need to be.
Yeah, I think it would be fabulous. But they what did CBS do away with that after like Russell kept like finding them without any clue?
I think the last time we saw was on the idols when they go to the Rob and Sandra chateau, and like there's that multi-step idol hunt Tommy goes through, or Tommy and Dean go through. To get that last idol.
Oh, like at the like very tail end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Um,
I guess the very last thing of the wrap before we get to the Bloomies, our player of the week. So both Stacy knew about Megan's idol, and then so Stacy knew about Megan's idol, and Brianna knew about
Jordan's.
Jordan's idol,
Yeah.
and they're both in redemption. Those idols are not staying secret. Like 20, like I will bet money that the person coming in the game is going to know exactly about both their idols, because people talk at redemption. You're mad, you just got voted out. You're going to spill all the dirt on your tribe mates.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I think that it's 100% guaranteed. I think it depends how it's going to impact. Really depends on at what point that returner player comes in and where. Right.
Mm-hmm.
If we're at a merge, if we're at a 2 tribe, or if we're still in 3, like. But it's definitely that knowledge is not going to stay quiet for long.
And I wonder if that was something that, because normally, like if you're Jordan or if you're Megan, sending a person home who knows your idol means your secret's safe with you. But I wonder if they're realizing, like, okay, they're not out of the game yet. They still can influence the person coming back the game, and this idol will only be secret, let's say, until merge, and then I need to make use of it because it's not going to be hidden.
Yeah, I have to look back at who was voted out, because I'm wondering if they all knew.
So Stacy,
Brains wouldn't have known, right?
Yeah. So on the Brains tribe, Dallas knows about it still, and on the Beauty tribe,
No, not about the idol, about redemption.
Oh, no, everyone does now because
no, that was the first time Yellow was going to tribal.
Yeah, it's the first time Yellow's to try. I guess this is something for KC. I assume redemption's kind of been a staple of the past seasons, right? Because it seems like multiple players have experienced redemption as well. So I don't think it's a surprise. It's not like Edge of Extinction was like, oh my gosh, they're back. It's not. I don't think it should be a surprise, and you should expect something like that, given that it's been a mainstay of the past, at least like the past 2 seasons or so.
Okay, yeah, I not knowing, but I was like, if they did not know, it would the Yellow tribe like, okay, vote her out. It's not going to come back to bite me. But now that you're saying that, it makes a lot more sense. I was trying to understand in their bylines, like, okay, what seasons they played, and I kept seeing Redemption Island winner.
Yeah.
Wait, but they didn't win. They were in like 5th place or 6th place, but they're Redemption. Like, wait, what does this mean?
Yeah, so I look forward to seeing if people talk about that, or if that has an influence on how these idols get used or whatnot, or simply a person comes back in and they have a lot of power because they know about a lot of things that other people don't.
Yeah, it's going to be a very powerful position.
So now I think we should, as we kind of wrap things up, so let's talk about the Bloomie, the player of the week.
Yeah.
Would you like me to start, or would you like to start with who is your player of the week?
I'm gonna let you start.
So I was torn between 2 people, and I'll just say I was torn between Jordan. I was torn between Griffin. Jordan, because Jordan's been playing for a strong power position on her tribe. She finds a hidden meat idol. Voting out Brianna means no one else knows about it at this point, though someone eventually might have to. Hannah seems very keen that Jordan is kind of her ride or die at the moment, which means Jordan can force a gridlock if her tribe goes to tribal council again. I think Jordan's sitting in a very strong position in her tribe, and it was even strengthened by this episode. But I like a little risk. And I like what Griffin was doing this episode, where clearly Stacy is an ally for him, but he doesn't think he has the capital to go against the block of what seems like Alyssa, James, and Megan. And so what he does is he gives her his shot in the dark to play, but he still votes against her. It reminds me much of like Suri in the game changers, that first merge vote where it's Haley or Michaela, and Cerise like, I'm gonna write down Michaela's name. I'm going to make sure everyone knows we're in Michaela's name, even though I want Michaela to stay, because I want to downplay my relationship with Michaela, because Michaela's going to be a valuable ally team later on. This feels very much in light with that, saying, hey, I'm going to write down Stacy's name, but I'm going to give Stacy my advantage with the hope that the gamble pays off. Stacy stays in the game, and Stacy's going to be really loyal to me as a result of that. Now, did it pay off? No, it didn't. He burned his advantage. Stacy went home, but I like that path he took, because frankly, that's probably one of the best uses of the Shot in the Dark we might see this season. But who knows? Maybe something crazy will happen. But I like that use of it and that creativity in his. So for that, I'm going to give Griffin the Bloomie for the week for me.
I was torn as well between Jordan and Griffith too. So here and I was like, yeah, I totally understand. The thing with Jordan, I guess the reason ultimately I was going to put my vote on Griffin just in transparency. But I guess for me, like Jordan, I'm loving the gameplay and the know-with-all. But I think there's one little piece missing for me to feel like she is in a rock solid place. Like I still feel like, yeah, she's found her footing, but she's still like Hannah wants to work with her, but like I don't think she trusts Hannah. Like so, I don't feel like that her whole world is completely solid yet. So thinking about that, but like from a game point of view and moves within this episode, I have to give it to Griffin. Like that whole idea, just what you recapped was exactly it. It's like that is an awesome move. You positioned yourself in multiple places. Like I'm really interested to see how it plays out for him after that. So Griffin's my vote.
Wow. All right. So I see here. I thought I was being like very, very against the grain by putting Griffin out, but I'm really happy because I thought Griffin made it really fun. I will some honorable mentions for me. Megan from the Brains Tribe snatches the mutiny advantage. She votes correctly, so you're not gonna have an angry Dallas coming after you. I'm not a big a fan of how she handled like, do I have an either or not, but she seems like she is working close to Alyssa and maybe or not James. It's hard to see. And then Braun Tribe, it's really hard. Like Braun Tribe, it's really hard to say because we didn't get a ton of time with players. And then for Beauty Tribe, I'm still feeling like I love the confessional hand. It's like, here's what my future holds in store for me. And she didn't play her Shot in the Dark needlessly.
Yeah, Hannah's smart. Like she knows what's going on. She's super observant. Like even what we talked about earlier is like in the first episode, she pegged Jordan as being the one that everyone wants to work with in that central point. Like, okay, that's who I need to get in good with. And she seems to be getting there. So kudos to her.
Do you have any predictions for what to expect in the next episode?
I think there's going to be a mix-up. I think they're going to do some sort of swap. I don't know if it's still into 3 or into 2. I'm hoping 2 because I think it'll be more interesting. I think that's what I'm anticipating for the next one. And I see Hannah having to re-scramble again. I'm going to predict that Mia finds her footing and rallies troops. Like I'm really kind of eager to see that happen.
Yeah, this is still day 1 of the game, which is wild to see. We voted out 4 players in the first rounds and still day 1. So I actually think like tribe swap to call it a night and kind of conclude it there, let people kind of reorient things and get the voting restart in the morning seems like a good way to go about it. And I do agree at like 2 tribes of 7 is where I think we'd go at this point. I think the Brains Tribe is in a lot of trouble given what that last vote looked like. Because you look at the Braun Tribe and the Beauty Tribe, those were more like a 4-on-2, 4-on-1 style situations. The Brains Tribe being this weird 3-on-2 and kind of mixed way. I think Dallas might be headhunting. So I think a Brains player will likely be going home next.
Yeah, I like the Brains Tribe, but yeah, I don't see a lot in their future.
Yeah, it's weird to think that like having really solid majority rules votes in your tribe, early tribe is so important because it sets the tone later on of like in a swap, are you at each other's throats, or are you willing to like, hey, we will come together and we will like at least start together on this route. It's always fascinating to see.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely 3-2 in that tribe, and even that I would say it's a 2-1-2 1-1 really.
The tribe seems just very scattered, and maybe had they gone to a second tribal council, that would have been much more solidified. So they kind of figure like, hey, here's our core 4. We're gonna maybe now we get together and vote out Dallas, or maybe not, or something else happens. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
Have to wait and see. Troy, thank you so much for taking this past hour with me to talk about this episode. I think we definitely exceeded the episode length, so that was a victory on our books. Is there anything you're up to, or anything you'd like people to know about before we conclude here?
Oh, there's so much, but I'm going to keep it to myself because I can't say anything, and I think that says a lot.
Well, Troy, thank you so much for all of you tuning in. Thank you for listening. I believe we'll receive episode 4 sometime, probably next Saturday. So stay tuned for a podcast to follow, and have a great rest of your day, everyone.